Welcome back to the Winston Cup Series here on JRTV as we are back in action at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the running of the MBNA America 500. I'm Joe Rakowski. Alongside me here in the booth, it is a very, very great Atlanta driver, Trey Bardo. Trey, you've had so much success here in the past, and this is the final time these drivers will race on this complete oval version of Atlanta as it's getting reconfigured for the finale race here later in the season. So what do you think it's going to take for these drivers? You've had a lot of success here. What is it going to take for these drivers to have that same sort of success in this final race on this configuration?
Yeah, I mean, you need to be desperate, Joe. You want to be the last one to win on this type of configuration, don't you? It kind of puts your name automatically in the history books for here.
It does. This is a very landmark racetrack in the Winston Cup Series. It's been the finale track for the past few seasons as it's replaced North Wilkesboro. So definitely this is a racetrack where everyone wants to win at, especially since it's normally, you can take the notes from this race, take it to the finale race. But now with the reconfiguration happening in the middle of the season, the notes that you get from this race, Trey, possibly don't really mean anything because the track is turning into a quad oval instead of being just kind of this, complete oval version.
Yeah, I don't think really crew chiefs are going to be able to take very many notes to the new configuration whenever we come back here later in the season, just because, like you said, I mean, this place is going to look almost completely different, right? It's going to pretty much turn it right upside down. So drivers don't know if it's going to race anything like it is now.
Yeah, and that's going to be the unknown when we go into the championship race. It's going to be fun for that. But right now we're going to focus on this race, the final on this configuration of Atlanta. And the top 7 starters are all from different teams here today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We have Mathis Wells for Joe Gibbs Racing, Zachary DeLello for Roush, Lathan Strickland for DEI, Justin Zeidel for Hendrick Motorsports, then Jack Carter, the rookie for the Wood Brothers, a good top 5 start. Riley Swertu has won here in the past. He's starting in 6th for the Yates team. And then starting in 7th, it's Conrad Evans for Richard Childress Racing. So, Trey, we have 7 different teams at the front, but some of the teams that performed the best overall. DEI has all 3 of their drivers starting inside the top 9, and RCR had all 3 drivers qualifying top 11, but we had Kukul on fail inspection, so it's only 2 starting inside the top 10, but we know all 3 of those cars have speed. So, Trey, is it those kind of Chevy teams, DEI, RCR, have they found something here at Atlanta to go fast? We know RCR has done well here as you won with them 8 times, obviously.
You would like to think it's going that way, but Joe, I've learned from last season and so far this season that you can't really say you expect this to happen, and because the total opposite's going to end up happening.
Speaking of not knowing what's going to happen, Lathan Strickland won the race last week at Daytona as an owner, with Jordan Edwards going to victory lane for the first time ever for Fitz Bradshaw Racing. Was celebrating that, but then after the celebrations ended, it turned into a brawl with Conrad Evans, but the officials stepped down hard, gave Evans a major monetary fine, $100,000. Lathan Strickland also got a major fine of $75,000 for his role in the fight. And not only that, but then officials warned all drivers, especially Evans and Strickland, that moving forward, there is not going to be no actions like that are going to be tolerated after the race, during the race, whatever. It's going to be a lot more strict from here, trying to limit kind of the silliness, right? I'd call it silliness, Trey, because especially with Conrad Evans, right? We know this is a man who last season, and I know you've been teammates with him, you might not feel the same as I do. You've worked with him in the past. He drives for the team you used to drive with. But I'll say it point blank that Conrad Evans has kind of been like a child the past season, and now carrying over into this season, thought things might have changed, but somehow I feel like he's somehow gotten worse.
I don't know. It's strange to talk about it. I mean, whenever I worked with him, he took his job, serious. And then it seemed like ever since I left, he kind of thought he became the face of the team. And it kind of got a big head from that. His ego kind of shot up, like the right hook he took from Lathan. But anyways, I don't know. I think he just kind of needs to back it off some, and he needs to relax and look at stuff a little bit, because if he acts like this more and more, I mean, he's gonna get dropped by RCR, and no one's gonna want someone like that costing him money.
That was my exact point, is that if RCR ever says I've had enough with you and says we're not re-signing you, what team is gonna want to pick him up?
The garbage team on every Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe a newly formed single car team that's looking for someone and just to get them.
No, I meant like the garbage company picking up trash on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
no team's gonna want them.
I was trying to go a little bit nicer, but yeah.
Oh no, Joe, you can't be nice with stuff like this. I mean, these guys are supposed to be like role models or the professional for the lower series or anyone watching or kids wanting to grow up into this. They got to prove that this is a serious business, and if these two or this one guy Evans wants to go and act like this, I mean, it's not the look we want here at NASCAR.
Yeah, so we'll watch for that throughout the race as Evans starts in 7th towards the front of the field, but just a few rows in front of him is Lathan Strickland, who fought after last race at Daytona. Strickland starts in 3rd, so watch for those two during the race, and just watch for Evans in general to see if he has maybe calmed it down here at the race, because they're obviously on probation, so if they do something else, it could result in something big like points or even a suspension for the drivers here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. As we look at the Ford Fast Facts and the race breakdown here at Atlanta, it is a kind of chilly day in terms of Atlanta standards, only 61 degrees. It's still decently warm for being the end of February. Clear skies though, only a mile-an-hour wind in the east direction, and a small chance of rain, 10%, should not impact the race at all here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The length of the track, 1.522 miles in length. The banking, high banks in the corner of 24 degrees and 5 degrees on the straightaways here at Atlanta. The track was built in 1916, held its first race in 1981. It's had 2 races on the schedule ever since it's been added onto the schedule. And as we look at some of the facts here about Atlanta, 12 wins at Atlanta for the Ford manufacturer, and 7 different Ford teams have won here at Atlanta. And Trey, you have 8 Atlanta wins, the most of any driver, and you also swept the races here in 1988 and 1999. It will be a 66-lap race, 100.452 miles, and a fuel window of 35 to 40 laps. So they'll be able to do it on one stop here at Atlanta, and we'll see how the strategy unfolds, because remember, we've seen in the past few races here, Trey, as drivers start to come onto pit road, they do it entrance of turn 3. It causes some crashes in the middle of 3 and 4. Some drivers try to get up the racetrack, get away from the drivers that are going low to pit. It causes crashes. We saw it cost Brett Serra a championship last season. Earlier last season in the first Atlanta race, it happened to him once again. So we'll see if it happens again in this race or if they can keep it clean here in the final Atlanta race on this old configuration. Let's go down to trackside and get the command to fire the engines up for the MBNA America 500 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Engines are rolling off pit road to do battle here at Atlanta. Mathis Wells leading them in. Trey, let's talk about Mathis Wells. Not only is it 2 straight poles for Canada so far this season, they're 2 for 2. Mathis Wells, this was his 3rd straight Atlanta pole. This man knows how to go flying around this configuration.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think about, isn't it?
It is. It is for sure. Mathis Wells, although he hasn't raced well here normally, he can qualify really well. We'll see if that 20 team has found a way to improve their race pace here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's go to the back of the field, Trey, because back here is the number 26 of Samet Oskin, new to this 2016, but Trey, the last time we were here at Atlanta, Nolan Lawrence piloted this car, failed inspection after good qualifying, started last, won the race. Samet Oskin failed inspection. Will he win the race in the same car?
Joe, you never know. I mean, I like reading stories twice. You get more information out of it, so we might get to read the same exact thing again.
We might, and watching a few rows in front of that, Jordan Edwards, winner of the Daytona 500, finished 2nd here last time we were here. That was with the Evernham number 9 team. At the front of the field, though, Mathis Wells and Zachary DeLello, 2 of the powerhouse teams. Joe Gibbs Racing and Roush Racing lead us to the green flag. 66 laps, the final race on the old Atlanta pavement is underway. Well, Mathis Wells will accomplish more than he did here the last time at Atlanta. He started on pole last time, never got to lead a lap. This time he'll lead the first lap of the MBNA America 500. Up for 2nd was Lathan Strickland, but now Jack Carter, the rookie for the Wood Brothers team, passes him up to 2nd place. Carter flying so far in the start, but here comes Conrad Evans looking low for a second. Eli Bright right behind him, and then here comes Brett Sierra. Heartbreak last time he was here at Atlanta. The man behind him, though, got the benefit of that. Chris Jericho won the championship last time here at Atlanta and won this race last season. They got really tight down the bottom there.
Yeah, I don't know if he maybe hit the apron a little bit or the car just got tight, because, Joe, it looked like it just went straight up the track.
Did, that is for sure. A little bit of 3 wide further back, and now this man moves to the inside. Jay Rando, the 48 car's first start of the season. Jay Rando's first start of the season. He wasn't meant to be this 48 car, but previous driver Jason Albert got dropped by the team. Jay Rando is now in the 48, got to qualify for his first race of the season, and Rando moving up nicely. Didn't have the fastest start. He had a huge gap in front of him on the start, but is now getting it going and pushing teammate Brett Sierra 3 wide for that second position as Sierra moves by Eli Bright in the 8, and here comes Rando up for third place. Hernandez the 1 right behind him, and then another Hendrick car. Keegan Thompson that number 5.
You know, Joe, Hendrick doesn't really have the best of luck at this track, do they?
They do not. Keegan Thompson back in 2000 in the finale, involved in a crash while in the championship lead. And then last season in the finale, Brett Sierra, same story, involved in a crash while in the championship lead. Both accidents happened in turns 3 and 4. We'll see if one of these Hendrick drivers can break the curse here at Atlanta. Jay Rendo's up to second, trying to chase down Matheus Wells, who's led the first 4 laps outright from pole here at Atlanta. And here comes Anthony Hernandez moving up for third with Keegan Thompson behind him and Matthew Burnett. Another Roush car, Keyshawn Richardson, the 99.
You know, these guys are keeping it pretty calm for the beginning of the race, and it's nice to see for once, because you and me aren't on the edge of our seat. We get to relax and, settle in to one of these races. But Joe, I don't think it's going to stay like this for very long. And I mean, this bottom line's pretty, kind of calm and organized right now, and they're just kind of slowly making their way up to the front. And as these guys get pushed up to the top, they don't really, wow, what a move.
That was a great move by Anthony Hernandez, who sliced down in front of Keegan Thompson, made the move to the inside. Jay Rando work. He'll move up for second. Matheus Wells leads with 60 laps to go. Burnett moves low. Teammate Keyshawn Richardson following through into turn 1. Here comes Logan Williams, was disappointed with his qualifying result in that number 40 car, but the race pace looks good. He's moving up for a top 5 spot, and another Hendrick car, Justin Zeidel, just behind him. Evans and Atkins moving back up to the front, and then right behind them, Logan Williams' teammate Brandon Beal moving up nicely in that number 41 car. Burnett moves to second. They're all trying to chase down Matheus Wells, so that 20 still leads here at Atlanta.
That 20 looks strong up there, Joe. Well, I know we've seen good cars get in clean air, go fast, but then once they get behind someone, they don't go fast anymore.
That is true. So we'll watch and see if Matheus Wells, if he can't hold this lead any longer and at some point falls behind some drivers, is that car just as good back in the pack, or will it be a little bit of a handful to drive and maybe not as fast as it is right now out in front, as Logan Williams looks for a second place on Keyshawn Richardson. Here comes Zeidel and Evans, and then Atkins maybe looking out 3 wide, putting Evans in the middle into turn number 1. These two are teammates, but they have not raced like it at all. Atkins 3 wide and puts Evans in the middle in a precarious position off turn number 2.
Yeah, that was close. Yeah, I mean, Joe, we can be honest. Evans is the most vocal on the team, and at the same time, Evans is the one who doesn't really cheer on teammates. He more bashes them.
He wants to beat them. Yeah, he wants to prove he's the number 1 on the team instead of the whole team to rise up.
Yeah, if it works for you, it works for you. But I mean, at the same time, I don't think it's really working.
Chip Ganassi Racing teammate battle going at it, with Brandon Beal moving to the inside of Logan Williams, trying to push Justin Atkins to the inside of Justin Zeidel for position. Another kind of smaller team moving up to the front, that number 32 of Noah Clifton up inside the top 5, and right behind a winner of the last Atlanta race in the Winston Cup Series, Nolan Lawrence, new team with Evernham, that number 19. He missed Daytona, but here he is now up inside the top 10, looking to repeat what he did the last time we were at Atlanta just a few races ago. Lawrence moving up on the inside of Justin Zeidel for the top 5. Evans behind him with Eli Bright, the 8, not far behind. Nathan Stimpton moving up for Morgan McClure Motorsports, but they're all still trying to chase and pass Matheus Wells at number 20, who is still leading here in the MBNA America 500 at Atlanta.
He's kept it at a solid 1 to 2.5 car lengths in front of these guys so far, and I mean, the ones behind them, they just keep kind of, someone gets out front some, and then they move to the top side, and the guys on the bottom get such a big run, like right here, that they get side by side, and when you're side by side, you're not going to be able to catch that 20.
Yes.
Oh, that was close.
Justin Seidel going middle of 3 between the RCR boys as Evans moves low and gets a few spots off that. Here comes Nathan Stapleton, the 88 of Luke Rainey, just behind him, trying to move his way up to the front. And they're coming back in that number 5. That number 55 of Roger Ray did not qualify well at all. He's now racing well, but Mathis Wells, Trey, he's pulled an even bigger gap as they come off 2 and down the back straightaway. That 20 car is on something here today at Atlanta, showing the pace that Joe Goods Racing Pontiac has, and maybe they are going to be the top team. Wells, remember, second at Daytona, so close to victory lane. Could this be victory lane in race number 2 of the season?
We'll have to see. I don't want to say anything now to possibly jinx it because we tend to do that quite a bit, Joe. So, you know what? We're just going to let the race play out, and if we do come to green flag pit stops, I don't think they're going to want to change a single thing on that car.
No, I think they're going to want to keep that car just the same as it is right now because it is absolutely flying at the front of the field. Luke Rainey for 3rd place on Nathan Stapleton. Evans has gotten clear in 2nd. We'll see if he can try and stay clear and maybe run Mathis Wells down and make a pass on him. If they start battling for 3rd behind, Evans can keep 2nd, chase down Wells, and maybe make that pass work. So we'll see if it happens. Here at Atlanta, Luke Rainey's up to 3rd place now. Keegan Thompson up to 4th. And then Roger, that 55, up to 5th place as they race off 2 and down the backstretch. They're trying to stay single file maybe and run down Mathis Wells. Smart play there. But now Luke moves low and Evans for 2nd. And all that progress they just made, Trey, thrown out the window.
Yeah, Evans kind of hesitated to go down to the bottom, and Luke took full advantage of it, and, you know, he made the pass work. So, I mean, you know, you give the driver the bottom, Joe, and they're going to take it. They're not really going to cut you any slack, and even if it were teammates, I don't know if a teammate would even be like, hey, I mean, I know you gave me the bottom, but you can have it.
That is true, and now behind them, Kukulon, remember, failed inspection, qualified well, but failed inspection. He's going middle of 3 as Gary moves low. His teammate Evans, I think he lifted to let Evans in line, but Kukulon moving up from the back nicely. And how about, give a shout out, Trey, on the inside lane moving up nicely, this smaller CLR racing team with Jacob Miller behind the wheel. His first start of the season, he missed out in Daytona, but this 57 of Jacob Miller absolutely moving forward right now as we're not even halfway in. He's moving up for a top 10 spot, so Miller doing a good job in his first start in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's slowly but surely making his way to the front here, and, I mean, you're going to have to think that if he stays on this bottom, he's going to find himself in 2nd place here, and we'll have to see what he can do out front as, you know, it looks like kind of 2nd place might be moving away. Same was 3rd?
Yeah, that could be good, though, as Gary tried to get down front of Stout, but the 6 had too much momentum and got to the inside for 3rd. Raj Ray, though, stays clear in 2nd. He's trying to run down Mathis Wells in that number 20. How about on the inside, also give a shout out to Nathan Baird and that number 22 for Bill Davis Racing. He's moving up nicely. Jacob Miller going for a top 5. Lathan Strickland pushing him through. Here comes that number 97, Zachary DeLello, 3 wide for the back as it's Fitzwater stuck in the middle with Matthew Burnett to his bottom. To his outside, it's Nathan Stipton, that number 71, as they race off into turn 1.
So, Joe, what's the pit window looking like if
Pit
we
window
make it to it?
Is 35 to 40 laps. I was going to say, you know, we should make it to it, but now they're 3 wide, about 4 rows deep. This is the most aggressive they've been so far here today. They're getting very racy here as we're nearing lap number 20.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm liking it very much.
Yeah,
It's
getting interesting. But look at this at the front. They've stacked up single file, and they're running down Mathis Wells. Roger Ray's right there. Does that 55 have enough pace to pass Mathis with speed, though?
Yeah, we'll have to see if maybe a little bit of push down the back stretch or the front stretch might do it, but they're not trying to stay single file as they shuffle out the 55.
I think Jordan Stout saw that 55 was maybe just a little bit weaker and said, I can be the one to pass Mathis Wells. But look at Jacob Miller moving that 57, moving out Nathan Baird, going for 4th, and it will lead to a 3rd place move as he gets by Roger in the 55. So move Miller up to 3rd, and here comes Stout hunting off 2 for the lead.
Is he going to look low going into 3? Not yet. Maybe?
He's trying, though. He is right on the back of Mathis Wells. Jacob Miller also up to 3rd. Lathan Strickland back up to 4th, and Burnett for 5th. But can Stout find a way around Mathis Wells before someone finds a way around himself in the process as they race through 1 and 2? Mathis Wells trying to come around and lead a 3rd of the race, 22 of the 66 laps at the line. But Jordan Stout trying to keep him from it. That's 6 all for the back, but can't find a way. They got to run to get by him as they race into 3. Strickland moves for 3rd on Jacob Miller.
Yeah, Stout doesn't really have anyone behind him giving him a push, so he's just kind of stuck behind the 20 here. As you can see, the 17 might be looking 3 wide on the bottom going in the 1.
I think Matthew Burnett sees a teammate in need at the front of the field and is trying to get up there and help. Jordan Stout gets the lead off Mathis Wells. Burnett trying to make it work on the bottom for 3rd place. They clear Jacob Miller. He falls in line on the outside lane. Luke Rennie trying to push Burnett up through. Luke looking out 3 wide, not yet making the move, but showing the nose of that 88 to the back of the 17, but can't make it work. Justin Seidel also moving up on the inside, that number 24, with DeLello and Fitzwater moving up to the front, but the front two have gotten away with Mathis Wells and Jordan Stout leading here at Atlanta, and now Luke Rennie for third place on Matthew Burnett. They're looking 3 wide behind as Roger Ray got shoved up by Nathan Baird and Jacob Miller on the outside of that, almost 3 wide off the corner, and Stout with another peak as they race off into turn 3, looking lower on Mathis Wells, but once again, no run to make that move work yet.
No.
Close again, but can't find a way. Mathis Wells has not yet lost the lead here at Atlanta and still holding on to it off Jordan Stout. Now Justin Seidel up to third. Stout's teammate DeLello up to fourth. Luke Rennie on the outside falling back. His old ride, Zachary Fitzwater Sr. moving to his inside, and the rest of the field trying to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, Stout seems like he can get a run off of turn 2. But then when he tries to make the move on the inside, it seems like Wells kind of sits in the middle of the lane 1 and lane 2. So Stout doesn't even know where to go. But now Stout's going to get, challenged here by the 24, and that's just going to slow them up.
Justin Seidel moving to second. That was a great run, Trey. He might have a shot for the lead off turn 2.
Forget what I said, Joe. That was
Power move.
Huge.
Seidel, first driver to challenge Mathis Wells here today. Justin Seidel for Hendrick Motorsports moves out in front here at Atlanta. Lead change for the first time today.
He absolutely sent that thing into 1 and 2 and made it stick throughout the entirety of the backstretch, and then 3 and 4, and he finally completed the pass here, Joe. This 24, it looks like it's stuck to the racetrack.
Well, Trey, this is a driver who I think has a lot to prove here this season in the Winston Cup Series. He had a good rookie season back in 2000, but last year in 2001 it did not pan out. He didn't win a single race, dropped down around 7th in points, was just kind of mediocre all throughout the season, while his teammates, Keegan Thompson, Brett Silver won multiple races on the season. This season it looks like he's the one to try and maybe lead the charge of Hendrick Motorsports as he finished well at Daytona, looking to now maybe win here at Atlanta. He's pulled away from the bow for a second. DeLello moving up and will get by, but just Seidel, the one out in front here at Atlanta.
Yeah, and then, these guys know that we're slowly coming up into the pit window here, and that brings in the question, Joe. When do you want to pit? Do you want to go short? Do you want to go long? And do you want to pit with someone?
Well, definitely, I think it depends on where you are in the pack. I think if you're further back in the pack, you need to think about pitting sooner, doing an undercut, because the stack up of coming onto pit road if you're further back in the pack is huge, and if you're staying out people in front of you are pitting, you're going to lose time just because of the stack up that happens in front of you. But if you're up towards the front, you can stay out a little bit longer because you're not back in the pack. You're not going to get shucked up as bad as some of those drivers. So I think if you're inside the top 10, you kind of wait. We're going 3 wide for third. Nathan Baird being aggressive with this number 22, but definitely if you're up towards the front, you might want to stay out, go a little bit longer, but if you're back in the pack, why not try and undercut?
And the thing we see with a lot of these guys is you don't want to pit from the second lane or third lane. You want to be on the bottom because, you pit from one of the top lanes. It's you make a lot of people mad at you, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to finish this race.
That is very true. As we watched there 3 wide through 3 and 4, as Mathis Wells, the one who's dominated the early part of this race, was in the middle of it. Nathan Baird, you see that 22 get a little tight from the middle lane, move up and slowed Strickland down. That gave Stout the run to clear in third. Roger Ray to get to fourth, and Jacob Miller, Trey, still hanging around the front, going for fifth in that number 57. Could he be one to maybe challenge for the win here at be an underdog upset for the second week in a row?
I mean, once he got up here, Joe, he hasn't really left the top 10. So it definitely could if they play their cards right on the pit strategy and everything else, and nothing bad happens to them. They can definitely be in the contention to win this thing.
That would be great to see as well. Another new team get to victory lane in the Winston Cup Series and just their first ever start. As we move ahead to the bow for a second, Jordan Stout was riding behind DeLello, but I think finally Stout decided, I'm a little bit faster, I need to get by you, Zachary. Maybe you can try and push me up to Justin Seidel, but that's not going to work because here comes Roger Ray and Jacob Miller to fill the hole to the bottom as we're nearing the midpoint here to Atlanta. Next time by, halfway through, caution free so far. 1 lead change. Mathis Wells dominated the early part of the race, but now it's Justin Seidel dominating the middle point. Can Jordan Stout get there? Maybe dominate the second half of this race. We're going to find out. Jacob Miller moves for third on Roger Ray, and Trey, look out behind them because here comes Eli Bright in the number 8, moving up quietly near the midpoint.
It's nice to see him back in his regular paint scheme.
It is that red number 8.
I didn't like the blue one. I'll be honest.
The Bud Light scheme.
No, it didn't look right to me.
It was a little bit different. Zidell, maybe, is he going to be pitting here soon? Because Stout went to the outside. There goes Zidell first in with Jacob Miller.
Oh, that was a little sketchy.
Oh, look out!
Oh,
Keyshawn
this
Richardson.
is big.
Jericho, Sierra. Oh!
Oh.
Oh!
Oh, no.
A few hard hits there. Sierra's involved again, and Jericho's involved in this one. You see others coming in to stop. A terrible crash here at Atlanta. The yellow is out for the first time, and once again, Trey, we mentioned getting onto pit road causes most of the mayhem here at Atlanta, and it proved the same, and I think maybe part of that to blame is Lathan Strickland. Looks like he pitted from the second lane in that number 15 car.
What did I say?
Don't want to pit from that lane because you'll make people mad.
Yeah. Well, Joe, how much would have bet people are mad?
I mean, look at
that. His own car.
His own car was one of the last in. Baby Ruiz also kind of flew in. Keyshawn Richardson as his teammates
Jericho
were up
was,
front.
I'm pretty sure, up in the air at one point.
Yeah, Diego Yepes. There's Jericho. As you mentioned, Brett Sierra had tone damage. I think he's done. These drivers were on pit road when the caution came out, still service their cars, and maybe they can leapfrog these drivers if they can get around the track fast enough. As Stout is in his pit stall, his teammate Burnett right in front of him. We'll see. It's obviously probably going to be 4 tires here and a full tank of 76 racing fuel to go to the end of this race, and we'll see who leads them off pit road of this group. There's Sierra coming in. A lot of damage on that 25.
And there goes Stout. Is anyone going to be able to jump him, though? Probably not. I'd be surprised.
Those drivers are racing around hard, trying to get up here, but they can't go too fast.
And not quite. Oh, well, no.
Yeah, I think Stout was able to hold it, but Jacob Miller, I think, is going to be second here in that number 57, if not second, somewhere inside the top 5, so it was still good for him in that number 57. These drivers were obviously able to keep track position. Some may have gained, and Lathan Strickland got away from that scot-free tray. He's up inside the top 10, it looks like.
Yeah, and that's just kind of insult to injury to everyone else that was involved in that, if he was the cause of it.
Yeah, so we don't quite know. I saw him pit from a top lane. It could have been something else behind him that caused it, but
I thought I saw Hernandez get first turned around, so I'm not sure what it was.
well, thank God for replay show, because we can go figure out what happened, as it's 2 Roush cars leading the way here at Atlanta. Jordan Stout off pit road first. We'll go see what happened about the first caution of the day here in the MBNA America 500 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. All right, Trey, you'll see right here, Lathan Strickland up at the front there, pitting from the second lane. It causes this huge stack up. People are checking up. Hernandez ran into the back of Thompson. Williams ran into the back of Hernandez, and all these others come flying in. Nowhere to go. Richardson, Sierra, Jericho, hard into the outside concrete. Yepes, there goes Sierra. Nathan Stapleton getting involved in this one. And then watch for Chris Jericho. He slides down, gets clobbered by Baby Ruiz. Keyshawn Richardson up in the air, and then right here, Jericho gets hit once again by Edwards, and then Jamie Stammers Jr. also into it in the 4 at the end.
Yeah, Edwards saw the opening. I mean, there was one, and then all of a sudden, the green interstate car of Jericho came sliding down, and it was too little, too late for him to, try to avoid it. So that was just bad timing.
And then right at the end, here come the 2 Haas-Car Motorsports cars. Samet Oskin and that number 66 Nathan Orman are running right together, and they both split the 83 right at the last second.
Well, hey, I mean, they avoided it.
They did barely avoid it. They're still in the race, still in the running. A lot of cars involved in this one. We'll go take a look at this wreck from a few more angles as we check out everything that unfolded here at Atlanta. Here's another view, Trey, as you can see how much that stacked up right there.
Yeah, like I said, you can't do it from the... Oh, jeez. Oh, again. But like I said, Joe, you can't pit from the middle lane because it just stacks everyone up. The 24 did it perfectly. He got low and out of the way, and so did a couple of other guys behind him. But then Lathan decided he wanted to pit with whoever was coming in, and ends up wrecking his teammate, his car, the past champion, the past runner-up, the who else? Half the rest of the field.
That's the 3rd straight Atlanta race this man has been caught up in some sort of pitting controversy.
I don't know how you break that curse.
Yeah, he's happy that the track's getting reconfigured. Maybe it can help everything out in terms of pitting. We'll go take a look at this wreck from one more view just to show some more hits that occurred in this one. Well, Trey, development here, entering pit road. Ronald Kennington, that 77, Lining up here, Brett Sierra, a lot of damage in this 25. Probably can't see, probably doesn't have too good of brakes, and there's going to be an issue here entering pit lane.
Look how much faster he's going.
Yeah.
And then
he's not the only car, though.
Just turns Kennington around, and he thinks it's over. He's starting to back the car up.
Here comes Nathan Norman.
Wait for it. Little tap there. Watch this 26. Boop.
Man.
Or, I mean, 66, I meant. And Joe, well, we have a car upside down on the track.
Under caution. Yeah, under caution. We had a car flip over here at Atlanta. It's gotten crazy at the midpoint. Jordan Stout is the race leader, and carnage back of the pack. Ronald Kennington on his lid under the caution flag. Coming back to the green flag, lap number 39 is when we'll restart. Jordan Stout, the third different leader here at Atlanta. Haley is back to the green flag with his Roush Racing teammate right behind him, Zachary DeLello. A lot of cars out for this one, including Daytona 500 champion Jordan Edwards. Baby Roo is not what he was looking for. Chris Jericho, last season's champion. Out of this one will be back-to-back bad finishes. Diego Yepes also out. Keyshawn Richardson, Jamie Stammer Jr., and Brett Sierra also done in that number 25. We have 35 cars left running, all of which are on the lead lap. Very surprising when you consider the last of them is Ronald Kennington stayed on the lead lap after the flip trays out there, still trucking along in that number 77.
We give it to our safety crew for getting him flipped over before the guys came back around. His pit crew getting him checked out and sending him back.
Yeah. Is he okay? Did they even check him out? Without
he's driving.
Without fast he's out there, I don't know if he's physically okay, but I mean, physically okay enough to be driving, I guess.
It looks like he's driving straight.
Yeah. So at the front, 3 Fords lead the way with Jordan Stout and Zachary DeLello, the teammates. Jacob Miller, such a good race so far. He's in third. Zidell is fourth, and Tim Gary is inside the top 5. You have Roger Ray in sixth. 7th place to Hunter Reed, the rookie. 8th to Strickland's teammate Bright, and 9th to Burnett is 10th. We're back green at Atlanta. Great jump for Stout Trey. He gets away. They stack up for third on back, and the battle for 5th is on. Roger Ray's been fast so far today. Moves on Tim Gary. Moves his way back inside the top 5 because Gary has not really been near the front at all here today.
Oh, little peek, and we have a pass.
Down to the inside, Zachary DeLello has not had enough of his teammate Jordan Stout leading this one. He wants to lead a lap for 5 bonus points, and here comes the rookie new team, Jacob Miller, moving up to second place on the inside, now looking for the lead as they race down the front into turn 1. Can he get to the inside? DeLello into 1. He will, and Roger Ray 3 wide for third behind.
He might make the stick, Joe. I think he's going to get help from Ray here and push him out to the lead. And the real question is if Ray's going to make a move going into 3.
He's trying. Look at Roger Ray looking 3 wide into turn 3. Over the back of Miller. Now pushing him through 3 and 4. Jacob Miller, the rookie, will come off 4. And he'll lead his first ever NASCAR Winston Cup Series lap.
The real question is how long is he going to be able to stay on this bottom here? Because that 97 is fighting hard. And Roger Ray's trying to get a way around him here.
Ray.
And still clean.
Yeah, they are still side by side as they race down the back into turns 3 and 4. Ray is all over the back of Jacob Miller. Now Miller slides a little bit wide. Here comes Ray, forcing to the inside. He started all the way towards the back of the field, was slow in qualifying, very slow. But here he is now going for the lead. Tim Gary behind him, and Eli Bright moving up nice in that number 8. He's used to seeing the 29 behind him, but this time it's Kukulon, not Atkins behind him.
One of the last times they were behind him.
Yeah. Fontana last season.
It didn't turn out too well.
It did not. Hopefully it doesn't happen this time. Maybe Kukla and Eli can race each other a lot cleaner than the first scenario of Atkins and Eli last season, as Eli going low at Tim Gary. Behind them, DeLello, a big move to get down in line behind Sebastian Kukulon. Eli Bright moving for second into turns 1 and 2 as we're nearing 20 laps to go in this race, so everyone's intensity level starting to ramp up. They know the pit stops are made. They're not trying to get up towards the front and position themselves for the end of this one. Eli Bright wants his first ever NASCAR Winston Cup Series win. He moves along, grabs the lead on lap number 43. Kukulon behind him moves his way up to second.
You can tell these guys feel pretty comfortable on their tires right now. The real question is how much are they going to use them up before the end of this thing?
That is a big question. Tire wear is a big factor here at Atlanta. We'll have to see by the end of this race how much abuse will they put these tires through with how hard these drivers are driving as DeLello goes back for the lead, and Right behind him, first name we've mentioned, Evan Hunter here today. He did not qualify well in that number 36. He's moving up to the front of the field. His teammate Tim Gary also at the front. They're looking 3 wide for the lead into turn number 1.
Oh, is that contact there between the 97 and the 29? Oh, and almost with the 36.
It's getting close, Trey. The beginning of this race was very calm and orderly. The end of this race is not going to be anything like that because these drivers all going for the win, including Riley Spruce, winner here back in 2000, looking for another Atlanta victory in that number 28, up to second place. Matthew Burnett right behind him, and Hunter's teammate Tim Gary up inside the top 5 in that number 10.
Comes Stout again on the bottom, and Joe Fitzwater, we haven't really talked about him much.
Yeah, he's running up now on the inside the top 10. His teammate Mitchell Collins just outside the top 10 back there in that number 12. So Penske's starting to come alive here as we get to 20 laps to go at the line.
Oh, that was close there, but they kept it clean so far, which is, you know, what we're looking for. But, Joe, I mean, some of those guys in the accident, you got to remember, they're still on this track here.
And Kennington.
Yeah. Where's he at, by the way? How's he doing?
Well, he's actually faster than Logan Williams right now, so they're trucking along. They're still a pretty good ways ahead, honestly. So, I mean, it'll be close if we catch them or not. They're not too far back. I'm
impressed that car is as fast as it is.
Yeah, I'm shocked that he's actually able to pass someone and move up a position. But now it's an MB212 with Evan Hunter leading the way off Tim Gary. That's going to be short-lived, though, because here comes Jordan Stout, one of the fastest cars of the day, moving the wheel for second place. But as we have a break in the action for the lead, let's do our Advanced Auto Parts question of the week. And last week, Trey, a little bit interesting because...
Do I hear paper? Do you have paper next to you?
I do. Do you want some paper?
Yeah, wait. Why do you get all the professional stuff?
I don't know. They just put it on my side. Here's the paper.
Thank you.
All right, so last week we asked which off-season move will be best this season. We asked, Hendrick's 4th car. Will it be the RCR swap? Will it be Evernham picking up drivers? Will it be Chip Ganassi Racing picking up drivers? Well, Trey, you said RCR because it's the same team just swapping around drivers. The real answer was that Jason Albert to the 48 car was going to be the best. That is a little bit short-lived.
So technically I was right.
Well, we don't know yet who's right, but you weren't right with the fans. But it was interesting because only 28% said Jason Albert. The rest of the options had 23%, so it was almost an even 4-way split between the 4 options.
I don't think I've ever seen the fans so equally divided on something than that right there.
Yeah, that was a hard one to pick, so we'll have to see how that works out. We obviously know already one of the options is off the table, but we'll see, obviously the RCR swap right now with all 3 of their cars are running well with Atkins going for the lead on Eli right into turn number 1. Evans behind them, but
you knew him?
I think he did give a little bit of a tap to that number 8 Budweiser Chevrolet.
Oh, Joe, we know who it is. We talked about them earlier, except it was a different car situation.
But now, this week's Advanced Auto Parts question of the week, very simple, yes or no question. It's about Atlanta. How do you, are you in favor of the Atlanta reconfiguration, yes or no?
Yeah, I think it'll be nice to see a different type of racetrack for Atlanta. I mean, it had some legendary moments here, some moments that will never be forgotten, but the point of a configuration is to hopefully get the racing better, and I honestly think with the new configuration, we're going to have new memories to hold into the series for years to come. So yeah, I think that configuration is going to be a great thing.
I have to agree with you as well, especially, making it a quad oval a lot better for the fans in attendance here, because it's very hard when you're in the stands to look down a straight straightaway and try and see, everything. When it's a quad oval, it's, curved. You can really see basically everything that's happening on the straightaway in front of you.
Yeah, especially with how long these ones are. By the time you're looking, down on the one, you're looking at the back of Billy Bob's head.
Exactly. And your neck's broken.
Considering it's missing most of its hair, I don't think that's a very nice sight to see.
Yeah, so I think it'll be an overall positive. Because we've seen also Texas and Lowe's, which are 2 tracks that, this reconfiguration is based off of. We've seen those 2 tracks put on good races the past few seasons, so I don't see why Atlanta will just, stop putting on good races.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, everyone's going to want to win at Atlanta anyway still, right? I mean, it's Atlanta.
Finale.
It's one of the best races we have all year, and I don't think a reconfiguration is really going to take any of that thunder away.
Well, right now, Trey, the front of the field is racing very aggressively, all trying to get this win. Zachary DeLello, 3 wide on Burnett, and Evans and that number 55 of Roger Ray. They're all moving to the inside, trying to get their way up towards the front. At the front of the field, two RCR teammates are going to go at it. Atkins has it. His previous ride, Sebastian Kukulon, he's trying to take it away. These two swapped rides at the end of last season, and here they are, 1-2 in Atlanta with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, Atkins is losing his spot to his previous ride, and Kukulon's gaining one from. Oh,
that was some teammate contact.
And are they taking lessons from the RCR handbook or something?
I don't know if maybe Riley got a last-second call that DeLello was inside and maybe tried to give a little bit more room than he needed, and Luke didn't know. Luke is getting bullied all the way, and here comes Jay Rando on the inside of the 48 car.
And maybe it was the same situation there, because Luke is just getting hit up the track. That's two turns in a row, really. Is it going to happen again?
And look who is coming back to the front, Trey, the guy who dominated early on. Mathis Wells from pole, back up into the top 10 for the first time since he kind of lost that lead. And now Harry is trying to move back into the top 5, and then maybe back to the race lead and maybe lead out right to the end of this race.
We'll have to see what happens if this 20 can get clean air again. But, we're getting close back here, and Luke is just... He's almost kind of falling straight back. Each corner he gets, he can't seem to find a spot he's really comfortable in.
Yeah, he was on the top, so then he went to the middle thinking that would work, and it still didn't work. And he's still falling back outside the top 10 now.
And, I mean, wow, that's a scary couple of laps for that. But this 29 so far looks to be strong right here, and Evans is going to race the 97 on the bottom, and that's just going to slow them up more. So this 31 got pushed to the outside, but then got right back to the inside, has fought his way back up. But, Joe, he's got some big company behind him.
And Mathis Wells is wasting no time, moving out on Jay Rando on loan from Roush Racing for Rando. 200 Motorsports in that number 48. He just got passed right there, still trying to stay up towards the front, though, and get that number 48 team their first win ever in the Winston Cup Series. Mathis Wells up to third, and Evans, he's not the one to ride behind his teammate at the end of this race. He's going for the win himself. Moving on, Kukulon is RCR back tray, two cars racing side by side for the lead with 7 laps to go.
I'll have to see what Wells is going to do here. Is he going to try to make it 3 wide, or is he going to push behind Evans here and, put it on mono here going into 3? So far, he's pushed Evans out front. He's going to make himself clear coming off of 2. Not quite yet. Now he's clear.
Slid up in front of Kukulon, but Kukulon looking for a crossover. Wells protects it nicely, gets down in front of that number 29, but Evans has a car length or so gap coming back around to 6 to go, and now Kukulon moving out on Wells for that second position. Can he stay down there? He will into turn 1. RCR going back for a 1-2.
Yeah, I think Kukulon kind of kept on the steering wheel a little bit more, and as Wells came off the corner,
he
opened his hands up. And he's going again, Joe. We saw this thing with the 24.
Yes, we did. Kukulon, a very good 1-2. Moves to the inside, come back around to 5 to go. It's a different RCR car out front. This time, Sebastian Kukulon leads here in the MBNA America 500. Here comes Matthew Burnett up to 3rd place, right behind him, winner of the last Winston Cup race at Atlanta, Nolan Lawrence. That was for NASCAR Motorsports. Now he's with Everdam Motorsports up inside the top 5. Tim Gary right behind him. Keegan Thompson, Eli Bright, Riley Spurtube, and Justin Atkins all trying to get up here at just the right time. Kukulon leads into turns 3 and 4, come back to 4 laps to go.
Now, these guys are going to start getting desperate, and they're going to make more desperate moves, Joe. The real question is, who's going to be able to make them work, and who's going to be able to, not hurt themselves with it.
And Trey, something I like about these wide shots, we do not see any lap cars within, a close range.
That's a first.
That is a first.
Where are they? Oh, there they are.
Yeah, they're not too far back, but look at this as they battle for a second, just like at the beginning part of this race. These drivers behind are battling for a second. The driver in the lead, this time Kukulon, able to pull the gap and might be able to keep it. Lawrence trying to get this second to chase down that number 20. We had a car on pit road as we now have 3 laps to go. Can Kukulon hold on and get another RCR victory in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series?
We'll have to see what happens here as he pulls up. This 19's got a big run, though. The real question is he going to be able to get up to the 29 or not? And Tim Gary's going to look low and pretty much ruin that plan. Actually, not quite yet, but Tim might try to hang a left here.
But they don't have a lot of time to go. Just 2 laps to go. More cars on pit road. 2 laps left here at Atlanta. Sebastian Kukulon leads through turns 1 and 2. Nolan Lawrence the 1 in 2nd. Tim Gary in 3rd. Keegan Thompson up to 4th. Eli Bright up for 5th. As they race down the back straightaway, coming to see the white flag this time by, it's Sebastian Kukulon. winner of the Talladega race last season for RCR, trying to get a second win for RCR in the Winston Cup Series. Here's the white flag, the final lap. Kukulan leads as they race off into turn 1. Can Lawrence find some sort of run to get there and get the win in the last lap?
We know Lawrence is strong at this track, Joe, but is he going to be strong enough to try to make a move in this 29? Tim Gary's not really on the back of him to try to give him a push here.
Down into turns 3 and 4, Sebastian Kukulan got the only win for Richard Childress Racing last season, and now he'll get the first win for Richard Childress Racing in 2002. Sebastian Kukulan wins at Atlanta.
Was that the 18 that we were slowly catching?
No, that was the, I think some drivers were coming off pit road. It might have been the 40 of Logan. Yeah.
It was. Okay. Well, imagine if we would have caught them 2 laps earlier.
Yeah, I
because
think
we were moving.
For some reason, there were a lot of cars coming down pit road. I don't know if maybe some of the damaged cars had tire rubs or something that were causing issues. That might have been it. And I think there were some of them coming down, and they just kind of came out right in front of the leaders. I think Williams, when they're on the last lap, was actually just coming off pit road. So.
Oh, good.
But how about Trey for RCR? Sebastian Kukulan, is that team back? Have they found the speed in the offseason to get back to the glory that they had, back, 2000 when he won the championship, even prior to that?
I mean, Joe, they've always had the speed. They just haven't had the chemistry, really. I mean, Joe, they were working together today, and you see what happens when they work together? It gets wins. And, I mean, if they can keep up stuff like that, I honestly think they could be in contention to win a championship here. But that's the only problem they have is, continuing that chemistry.
And something else to think about is that all 3 cars were faster today. It was not just 1 or 2 cars. All 3 cars, Kukulan, Atkins, and Evans, all looked like they could have had the pace to win this race here today. That's also crucial as we go forward in this season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if one car looks strong, they all look strong. And, I mean, they literally all did look strong. So we could be seeing something like a Roush did last season where they dominated the first half of the race, but sadly they weren't even able to keep up the endurance. So, maybe with a 3-car team, they'll be able to do that, but only time's going to be able to tell with that.
We will have to see over the course of the season as we look at the finishing results. Sebastian Kukulan on top here at Atlanta, his second NASCAR Winston Cup Series win. Second place to Nolan Lawrence. You have to give an attaboy to that driver. Lawrence missed at Daytona last race, but now comes back, gets a runner-up here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. His second straight top 2 finish here at Atlanta, so we know that this is the racetrack that he likes, and maybe he's a little bit sad that it's getting reconfigured in the middle part of the season. Tim Gary, a very impressive 3rd place for that MB2 car. He failed inspection after qualifying, started at the back of the field, but moved his way up nicely. Top 3 for that number 10. Eli Bright, a great result in 4th place for that DI car, and 5th place to Riley Spirit, who'd been that number 28. Keegan Thompson, 6th place for him for Hendrick. 7th place to Kukulan's teammate Justin Atkins. How about Matthew Burnett 8th? Conrad Evans gets 9th, and Zach Fitzwater Sr. completes the top 10. So all 3 of the Richard Childress Racing cars ended up inside the top 10 here today. That just shows how strong they were, and I think they were the only team to have multiple cars up inside the top 10 there to finish, so very impressive there. Mathews Wells carried the banner for Joe Gibbs Racing here today. 11th place for him, leading a lot of laps early on. Once he got put back in traffic, that car just was not as fast as it was at the beginning of the race. Zidell ends up in 12th. Roger Ray, Zachary DeLello, Jose Mills, a really good run. Was very quiet here today at number 7, with a top 15 for him. Nathan Bear was aggressive early on. He gets 16th. Luke Rennie and Jay Randall fell at the end. They finished just outside the top 15. Evan Hunter, top 20, along with Roberto Crown Jr., another driver that we didn't really call his name much. Jacob Miller got front and led a lap or 2 in that number 57. 21st is not the finish he would have wanted, but still a very impressive rookie debut for that number 57 team. Jordan Stout fell back towards the mid-pack there at the end. Brandon Bill, Lathan Strickland, Mitchell Collins back there with him, along with Noah Clifton. Those 26 cars finished in the lead draft. 27th on down, we're out of the draft like Laura Chung, Hunter Reed, and Samet Oskin. Ronald Kangton actually got 30th there at the end with Nathan Ormond right behind him. Cars that had to pitch Jack Carter, unfortunate for the number 21 team, who looked strong early on. Hernandez came down pit road along with Nathan Stapleton, Logan Williams, and then the cars out we mentioned during the race. We had the number 25 of Brett Sierra, the 4, the 99, 44, last season's champion Chris Jericho, Bibi Ruiz, and Daytona 500 champion Jordan Edwards, all finishing at the bottom of the list here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The points as we leave Atlanta definitely shaken up, as we had obviously Edwards, who was the points leader, leaving. He went from first to worst here in Atlanta, so he'll drop in points. Kukulon with a good day will gain in points. So obviously still early on. There's still a lot to be determined as we go through the points. We're only 2 races into 32, so nothing much to say quite yet in terms of that. But Trey, RCR, strong today. All 3 cars top 10s.
Yeah. If, like I said, I mean, if they can continue stuff like this, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But again, the problem is they got to get along first.
Yeah, that is very true. And we'll see if maybe, this race is that teamwork. Maybe it leads them to get that bonding together and work together well at the racetrack. Let's see how it all works out. But next race out, completely different to these first two. Daytona, the high bank, 2.5 mile drafting oval. Atlanta, the same story, but just 1.5 miles in length. This next race, the 1 mile worn out racetrack of Rockingham for the Subway 400. Trey, Rockingham, always a fun race to go to. And the last time we were at Rockingham, it was a Roush Racing 1-2-3. We'll see if that happens again.
Yeah, it'll be, I think they can do it if they bring the same stuff as they did last year.
Yep, we'll have to see if they can find that same speed they had last season at the Rockingham Speedway. But what a send-off it was for this old Atlanta configuration. We'll be excited to come back here at the end of the season for the season finale at the new quad oval configuration, and we'll have to see how it all races once we get to that point. But congratulations to Sebastian Kukulon on winning the final race on this configuration of Atlanta. For Trey Bardo, I'm Joe Rutkowski. So long from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and tune in to JRTV next week for the Subway 400 at the Rockingham Speedway.